Hello, everybody, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 22. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. How was your week?
Uh, you know, I'm still in the middle of the 30 days of comics. I'm doing the Extra Life pre-show stuff. Uh, really busy at work because we've got a new mobile app that we're developing, and another one of our main software packages had to the programmers had to go in and do some database thing on every single table in the entire thing. So I had to full regression test the sucker this week.
Oh, wow.
And I threw my hat in the ring to pick up a freelance project, which I think I may have been too late because I did not hear back from my editor. And I didn't follow up because I was like, you know what, if I don't, it was probably stupid to try for this anyway because
It's probably
I'm
Skylanders Imaginators.
It's exactly what it is. It's IGN's guide for the new Skylanders guide. Sam said, "Who wants it?" I'm like, but I didn't hear back. I'm like, "Yay!" Because I don't want to play it. And actually, Skylanders. I've said this several times in the past. I like Skylanders more for the story than anything else. The gameplay is okay. It's kind of average.
It's pretty basic.
But
like the Lego game's basic.
Yeah, I do love the characters and the scenarios, and I'm actually kind of interested to check out the Netflix show because I feel it would make a better Netflix show than it really does a game. Even aside from the whole Toys to Life thing, which everyone knows I can't stand. Of course, I was snarking earlier about, or maybe I kept this to myself, but I was thinking, what would capture the true essence of Skylanders on Netflix? Maybe some dongle that you plug into your TV, and to keep the episode going, you have to scan specific toys. It's like, would you like to see episode 3? Well, get your ass to Toys R Us and buy this new toy and scan it to unlock episode 3. Yeah, that would give you the Skylanders experience, where every 5 minutes you have to go scan a new toy to keep the ball rolling.
Nice. Yeah, that wouldn't go over very well. It's like,
and yet people put up with the game. I don't.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I can't say much about it. I have Skylanders Giants, and then I have maybe 12 toys, enough to unlock all the content. So I have 3 Giants figures, and then I've got and including the Giants figures, I have at least 1 character of each element, and so that's enough to get through the entire, like, all the content in Skylanders Giants.
Yeah.
I still haven't beaten the game yet, though.
I have the one where they pull apart Swap Force
yeah.
and Superchargers. I have a bunch of toys. Everyone hold on to your stomach. I'm taking the camera for a ride. Let's see if I can do this. Can you...
we can see the corner there.
The toys right there.
Yeah.
That's Disney Infinity, which I still have not worked up the courage to open because it looks terrible. But anyway, that's a big pile of Skylanders toys over there.
Yeah, I hope my kids never watch this, at least not before Christmas, but we bought some Disney Infinity stuff for them for Christmas because it's all on sale. Because
is it the 3.0 stuff, the Star Wars
the 3.0, yeah.
From what I've heard, the Star Wars stuff is pretty good, but man, I've seen 1.0 and 2.0. 2.0 is the Avengers stuff, and I've seen some footage of it, and it looks bad.
Yeah, the set we got comes with Anakin and Ahsoka from Clone Wars, so yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that.
Yeah, Hawks is telling me I should watch Stranger Things. I still have Netflix. I bought Netflix last week or the week before to watch Luke Cage, and so I still have a couple weeks left. So if you pay attention to my Twitter page, channel, whatever it's called, my Twitter, you'll see mini reviews to the things I'm watching. I've actually kind of gotten a habit of, or it's kind of fun trying to jam a substantive review into 140 characters when you have to subtract out the number of characters in the title so people know what the hell you're talking about. And when the title is something like Lego Jurassic World Indominus Escapes, that leaves you very little room to actually review the show. So I'm actually finding it kind of a fun challenge writing little mini one Twitter reviews for the silly things I watch on Netflix.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
how I'm spending my time. In fact, I just watched Ip Man 3, the Donnie Yen martial arts movie, and
I still haven't watched those. I've got them in my queue, but I haven't watched them yet. It's mostly because I believe are they subtitled?
yes.
That's why I haven't watched them yet, because I don't have time to sit down and watch it. Because
Yeah, if you're watching a foreign film in its original language and you don't speak the language, you really do have to pay attention to it if you want to know what's going on. You can't just kind of, because you don't speak the language. But I would recommend the first one. Really, 2 and 3, take them or leave them. They're worth a watch because there's punching and lots of it. But I think the first one is really the only great movie out of the 3. 2 and 3 are okay. Worth a watch if you like martial arts movies. And really, the thing that I've been noticing is Ip Man 3 came out last year. And as I was watching the movie, I was marveling over Donnie Yen's continued steadfast refusal to age like a normal person. I don't know what vitamins that man is eating, but he's not getting older, and it's creeping me out.
Nice.
13UCube asks, Andrew, did you teach yourself Japanese? All of the Japanese I know is, I suppose, self-taught. Really, all of, yeah, but I mean, it comes from watching foreign films. So if you watch, if you're an anime fan and you watch a lot of anime and you watch it in its original language, you can't help but pick up some of it after a while.
Yeah.
So most of the Japanese I know, and I'm certainly not fluent or anything, I know enough that I can kind of try and string a sentence together. But I lack a lot of really important nouns and verbs and stuff. I've got basic syntax. I probably have like the vocabulary of a 2-year-old. But I know baka, and that's the single most important word in the Japanese language. Anime has taught me this. But I know enough that I can kind of follow the topic of conversation, if not exactly what's being said. I'm a lot better because I don't have a chance to. I know people who speak Japanese. Kitty speaks Japanese. I should probably try talking to her in Japanese one day. And so does Tomoko. Well, she doesn't work at my company anymore. But point is I actually know people who speak fluent Japanese that I could converse with. But most of my experience is listening to it. Because I'd be at work and I'd be walking towards the break room or whatever, and Kitty and Tomoko would be chatting to each other in Japanese, and I'd walk by and I'd pick up what they're saying. I'm like, "Aha! I understand that." No, bad Andrew, stop eavesdropping. You know. So Kitty's name is actually Noriko, but everyone calls her Kitty, and I'm not sure why, but. I can't have, every time she walks by, I have to suppress the urge to go, kitty, 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 kitty. If I go to the zoo and I see the big cats, I'm like, kitty, and the lion like turns around and looks at me and is like, oh, you did not just kitty me. So anyway, yeah, I can curse in lots of different languages.
That's good.
I can count up to at least 3 in several different languages.
Yeah.
What's interesting, Japanese is actually one of the easier ones to count in because you only really have to know the single-digit number names, And then from then on, you basically, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and to keep counting, you don't have to learn new words. You basically say 10-1 for 11, 10-2 for 12, and so on. And then when you get to 20, it's 2-10. 2-10-1, 2-10, and it progresses like that. In Spanish, and English, you actually have to learn new words for the teens and for the 20s and the 30s.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
language interests me. I like watching a lot of foreign films, but I've never actually done any language studies. Probably because I hated school. School was a bad experience. I got out of school. I'm like, never again. Never again.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to learn new things. So I don't go to school anymore. I learn everything on the internet now because it's so much easier and cheaper to do it on the internet than it is to go to the community college and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I will tell you one thing as far as some legitimate being self-taught is I did go to the library years and years ago and picked up a book on Japanese so that I could learn the syntax. Because Japanese, you want to learn Spanish, it's basically just the adjectives go on the other side, but other than that, you're just learning what all the different words are. In Japanese, it's different words, but it's also completely different syntax. So you can get a feel for it. You can kind of pick it up after a while, but I actually went to the library and taught myself how Japanese syntax works. And once I understood that, then the language started coming together a lot easier when you understand syntactically how the language works. So if you want to learn Japanese just by watching foreign film, go to the library, get a book on Japanese syntax and figure out how that works. You'll have a much easier time. So,
okay.
So that's that. So, speaking of anime, and here's our first topic. There is a new show on that aired this fall in Japan. It's being simulcast on Crunchyroll and probably a few other services too, but Crunchyroll is where I watched it. It's called Keijo with 8 exclamation points after it. 8. I counted.
8.
So
and
I
you
guess
have to put all 8 there.
Yeah.
Or nobody knows what show you're talking about.
Well, I reviewed it. I did a little one-tweet review of the show on my Twitter, and I didn't have room for all 8 exclamation points, so I only put 4 in there. So I guess it's not Keijo, but Keijo!
Yeah. And now everybody that reads that tweet, they're like, "What? What's the show he's talking about? I don't know that one."
And that is the danger, because not only did I have to put the title, but I had to put this is what this is. So if you're not familiar with the show, and the title probably doesn't tell you much, if you've ever played or seen the Dead or Alive Extreme Beach volleyball games, I think at least the second and third one, there's a mini game in it where 2 girls will stand back to back on a pool float, a small platform that floats in the water in a swimming pool, and they stand back to back, and they bump butts at each other until until someone falls in the pool. So this anime seems to have based itself on that mini game in Dead or Alive Extreme. And it's now a sports anime, or maybe they might go full tournament fighter type route. But they go full Dragon Ball Z with the butt bumping attacks in this.
So does it take 3 episodes to execute a single attack?
Well, I've only seen the first episode. They're only on episode 2, and I won't be able to watch episode 2 because I'm the leech. I watch Crunchyroll for free. I don't pay for a subscription, so I have to wait a week. But I've only seen 1 episode. But man, it's pretty funny. They do just seeing a woman launch herself butt first 20 feet across and slamming her butt into someone's faces by itself pretty damn funny. And they do the whole thing with the speed lines, and I mean, these are like bathing suit butt ninjas, because they'll like move faster than you can see them, or they'll leave like an after image. Like you've seen enough ninja shows
Yeah.
that they'll move and you'll punch a person and your fist goes right through them because that's their after image because they're moving so fast. Um, there's stuff where they're like swinging their butts at each other so fast that the air is moving and creating a vacuum that's sapping the air out of their lungs and weird stuff. And they actually call out the attacks, like Kamehameha, and they're like super special butt missile attack, that kind of thing. It is so ridiculous. Is it any good? It's really hard to judge a television show by its first episode, and I think it's kind of unfair to.
Yeah.
So I think the animation is pretty good, and the creativity behind the various different ways you can attack someone with your butt is pretty damn impressive. And they do the whole thing where plumes of water explode all over the place because of the power of the butt attacks. And from that perspective, the conceit itself is inherently hilarious to me, at least. Where the show falls short for me is the characters. Now, granted, we're only one episode in, but so far the characters are very stock. I wouldn't even say archetypes. I'd say just really bland and stock characters, at least so far. There's no real characters or hook to the story so far that makes me want to continue. It's only the absurdity of this sport that makes me interested in the show. And I don't think the conceit of butt Olympics is funny enough or engaging enough to last for 26 episodes or even a 13 episode run.
Yeah.
If this were something like a 3 or 4 episode OVA, I'd be like, yeah, certainly, because, well, you can't see it, but I have a show called Agent Aika, which is basically upskirts the anime, and it's hilarious. But it's only 4 episodes. They made a second one, so it was another 3 episodes, and then they did a prequel, which was a couple episodes, which has the same character only when she was 16, which made the whole thing just kind of gross. Because the nice thing about Agent Aika is she's actually an adult.
Yeah.
So it ends up being just naughty fun. The prequel they did has her at 16, and you're just like, I feel dirty. But yeah, the characters and story, at least in the first episode, aren't really doing it for me. Although if I had to offer a criticism art-wise, I will offer something. The art is nice, the animation is pretty nice. Surprisingly, some varied body types in the character design. There's actually one woman who's a really large, muscular woman. There's one woman who's a very wide and stout woman. So they actually have a more diversity in body types than you would normally see in an anime. Of course, if you have an anime that stars a bunch of people playing a very physically demanding sport, you would imagine most of the characters would have the same fit body type. I mean, if you look at gymnasts at the Olympics, they all have pretty similar body types.
Yeah.
So that's to be expected. But it is nice to see a couple different body types on display in the show, at least in the first episode so far. One place I will criticize, and I'm going to have to do the screen share thing,
All right.
is I took a couple screenshots. Is the animators either don't know how the human body works or simply don't care. And
let's see.
There we go.
There we go. Oh yeah, that's a broken back there.
There's a butt attack where she's slamming her butt into someone else's face. I also like the fact that, at least in this first episode, all the characters are wearing full one-piece suits, because you're moving around. So I think they'll probably get into skimpy bikinis and stuff later, but this actually makes sense for what the characters are doing. Anyway, so yeah, she's broken, but let's move on to another image here. This come on, Google, stop being mean. All All right, here is like a couple frames later. This is a good one. Yeah. Yep. Shit, that's actually
Is that
supposed to
the
be
same shot
one.
from
Yeah,
the other direction?
yeah, that's from behind the other girl. So that's her face planted firmly in the girl in white's butt, and her torso is not even anywhere close to connected to her hips.
No, it's not. It looks like she's standing behind whoever's butt slamming that
That
poor girl
that
in the
looks like her
face.
standing like 4 feet away while the other girl smothers her face in a pillow or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's number three. There it is. Look at the
Goodness.
curve on her spine. Her arm is
Oh man, that
her
is.
right arm, and look at the shoulder and
Yeah,
elbow, the
she,
foreshortening on
her, okay, she's broken her back, like seriously
it.
twisted it completely around, dislocated her shoulder, and I think she might have broken her pelvis in order to get that spread going.
Everything about this is wrong. Oh God, that's funny. I have to imagine like some whoever approves the art in this saw everything about this is wrong. I mean, look at her right leg.
Yeah,
Follow
yeah.
it, follow it from where her hip is supposed to be. It's like floating out to the right.
Well, even her left one looks like it's like right
It's
in the middle of her hips.
it's like it's growing out of the. It's like her
It's
legs
growing out of her crotch.
perineum. It's
Yeah.
it's not even attached to her hip. It's like they got literally everything wrong.
It's like, did the people who animated this not have one of those wooden human figures, that posable figures that
I don't know. I have to
first year
imagine.
art students have to have?
I have to imagine somebody saw this piece of art and just said, "You know what? That's everything is wrong about this. But let's just go anyway because it's so damn funny." This poor girl's getting her face eaten by somebody's butt. And that's and that's Keijo for you.
Oh man,
there is one more weird thing about the show is unlike the game in the Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball games, there are butt attacks and there are breast attacks. So the rules are you can only hit with your butt and with your breasts. And if anything other than your feet touch the float, so if you fall to a knee or fall on your face, you're out. If you fall off the float into the pool, you're out. You can only touch the opponent with your butt or with your breasts. Throughout most of the show, they only did butt attacks, which makes sense because if you don't have boobs, ask someone who does. They don't make good weapons. If you hit someone with your breasts, the other person is going to be a lot better off than you are. So I thought that the show had completely forgotten that boobs were part of it, but there is actually one scene where the two girls are facing each other and do like a forward slamming chest bump, trying to, with their chests. I'm like, that would. That's not going to happen. I mean, butts are very muscular. They're really big, concentrated bundles of muscles. There's a lot of muscles in the butt. I can see that being used as a weapon. Breasts are not. There's no muscle in there. You put a lot of force on the breasts, you're going to be in pain. I have this on good authority. I know people with breasts, and I have asked, and they're like, yeah, not happening.
Yeah.
So that's not very realistic.
Not at all.
So that's Keijo, which I will probably give it another episode or two to see if to see if there's anything along the lines of character or story that's going to keep me interested in the show. I don't, as I mentioned before, I don't think the entertaining absurdity of the sport is enough to pull me through more than a couple of episodes. Uh, but the show does have a leg up in the fact that it's a sports drama, and sports dramas work for a reason. You know, the whole underdog sports
Mm-hmm.
drama thing, they're always usually pretty damn good because it's a formula that you
That
love. So,
yeah.
um, let me see what the hell the chat's been saying because I've been ignoring you guys for a while. Scotty J Man says Japan is very English friendly. That's true. If I went to Japan and tried speaking to someone, they'd probably say, oh, "Stop, just stop, dude. Speak English." Um,
Yeah. I think that's it's one of the required classes for grade school graduation, isn't it? English as a second
English,
language.
yes, English is taught in Japanese schools if the anime is not lying to me, which always makes dubs really weird because most anime, at least the stuff that we see over here, stars school children in school, and a lot of times they have English classes. And how do you dub that into English? Sometimes they try to make it a Spanish class, sometimes they try to make it a Japanese class, sometimes they just give up and make it an English class, especially when the jokes are they're terrible at English. Um, yeah.
They speak fluent English the rest of the time, but when it comes to school, they act like 3-year-olds.
Yeah, it's they speak perfect fluent English in the dub, and then they go to English class and like the cat toe is climbing. You know, that's like this makes no sense, and that's why subs are better than dubs. Matthew says it's apparently based on a manga. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I haven't read it, hadn't heard of it before now, but most anime is actually based on a manga. So that's Keijo. So you can check it out on Crunchyroll, if you are so inclined. So,
Yeah.
is anybody taking the bait? Did I sell anybody on the show?
I'm
Let's hear
probably
it,
not
Chad.
going to watch it. I saw the GIF on Kotaku, and I'm like, yeah, that's all I need to see of this show.
Yeah.
Well, I take that back. The images that you shared are all that I need to see from this show.
Yeah, that's you know, to be fair, most now there's a bunch of stylization in the art when the characters are flipping around through the air, you know, with the speed lines and stuff, and that makes sense. But the images I shared, I think, were the worst and kind of the exception of the rule when it came to how the show is animated.
Yeah.
Most of it is still fanciful as far as like, you know, ninja moves and Dragon Ball Z superpower kind of things. But yeah, those three images that I captured and showed off I actually had to stop the sucker and rewind and look at that a couple times because I was like, how how did that get through? So okay, let us jump to a new topic. I would like to talk about VR because that's been a hot topic this week, as a lot of reviewers have been talking about the PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
As various embargoes on the various games start dropping, reviewers are coming out and talking about PlayStation VR. And I thought we'd talk about if we think that virtual reality is going to, is this it? Is it going to hit mainstream? Are gamers ready? Or is it going to remain rather niche and be kind of a fad that's neat and some people look at, but just kind of goes the way of the PlayStation Move and the Microsoft Connect, and you know, to be fair, the Wii remotes. I mean, that was the new hotness for a couple of years, and then people were like, "Yeah, waggle waggle." I'm kind of sick of that. So, I think having read and seen reviews of people who have actually used all three hardware sets now, um, I don't think it's going to take off as a mainstream component to home gaming.
Yeah.
And I think that's mainly, I think the technology is actually in a place where it could be a mainstream seller. But I think the barrier to entry is just too high to make it a mainstream success. If you look
Yeah.
at the three different bundles, the three different hardwares, you have the HTC Vive, which by all accounts is the most high fidelity and powerful and rich experience of the three.
Yeah.
It all, but it also comes at a cost, both in price. It's $800, $800, and that's assuming you have a beefy enough rig to actually use it.
Hmm.
But it's also one that requires you to put up little sensors around the room because it's one of the ones that watches you from different angles so that you can actually turn around and duck and maneuver in a 3D space.
Yeah.
Um, so most people, I'm an exception here. This is my living room, but most people keep their computers in their bedroom or an office, a typically smaller room. So,
Yeah.
it can become cumbersome and difficult to set up the Vive for PC use for where most people keep their PCs. For me, it wouldn't be a big deal because my PC is out here in the living room, so I could set things up and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So
Well, you probably have to move your couch
I
and
might have
stuff
to
out of the
slide the couch
way.
in a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. And I'm in my office here, and I see I played with the HTC Vibe a few weeks back.
Mhm.
Some local developers were doing a public showing of a game they're making for HTC Vibe, and the space that they had cordoned off was actually bigger than this room here.
It's
So,
like 15
uh,
by 15 or some weird thing. Most of the demo setups I've seen,
yeah,
they're
something
really
like that.
large.
It was pretty large, and there's just no way that I'd be able to fit all that equipment in here
Mhm.
and still be able to use this as an office.
Especially a lot of the demos I've seen that are literally exploring a 3D space and moving and examining things from different angles and getting on the floor and looking under a desk or up some anime girl's skirt. I am so afraid that we're going to have people just slamming their heads against coffee tables because they're so immersed in their 3D environment. You thought people were throwing remotes through TVs. Oh man, people are going to get hurt. Um,
Yeah,
so the Vive is interesting because it's $800 period. Now that 800 pardon me, that $800 includes the hardware, the two motion controllers, and the sensors that you set up around so that it can see you.
yeah,
The other the PlayStation and the Oculus Rift kind of sell things in they do a bundle, but they sell
yeah,
their things separately. Vive, you want it, it's 800 period. You don't get to buy it without the controllers. It's $800.
yeah,
Moving down the list a bit, we have the Oculus Rift, which is $600 for the Oculus Rift, um, and that includes the kind of PlayStation Eye like camera thing that sits in front of you so it can see where you are.
yeah,
But it doesn't include the motion controllers, which are $200. So if
yeah,
you want the motion controllers, now it comes with an Xbox One controller, which you can play a lot of the games. If I don't know about all of them, but you can play a lot of them with the controller. But you really want the motion controllers. It's kind of the point of the thing. So again, you're looking at $800. And again, hopefully you have a beefy enough rig to, assuming you
yeah.
have a beefy enough rig to drive the thing in the first place.
You gotta
So
wonder why the controllers are so expensive, though. Are they doing anything more complicated than the Wii Remote and Nunchuck do?
yeah, well, they have a lot more specific sensors and stuff in them. They
I
also
guess, yeah.
so um so moving from there, you have the if anything actually is going to be able to go mainstream, it will be the PlayStation virtual reality system because it's actually sold by itself for $400. Now, Sony for some reason, is selling bundles of these 6-year-old Move controllers, which it's using as its motion controllers for VR.
Yeah.
These suckers are 6 years old, remember. 2 of them cost you $100. Sony, come on, folks. What are you doing? Also,
it's called making money.
yeah, while there are actually tilt sensors and stuff in the headset, for a lot of the real fine where is your face moving, you do need the PlayStation Eye, which retails those for $60. However, you can get a bundle of the headset, the 2 Move controllers, and the PlayStation Eye for $550. Now, that, of course, is on top of the PlayStation 4, which
Pro. Which you have to get the Pro.
It will work with the regular PlayStation 4.
Will it?
Yes.
Okay. I assume I was under the impression that you had to get the Pro.
No, it will. I haven't seen any reviews for how well PSVR works on the Pro yet. I think that stuff is still embargoed because I haven't seen anything yet. But all the reviews I've seen have been on the standard PlayStation 4 hardware, which is, I think, MSRPing at $300 right now, but I've seen it as low as $270. So that's definitely the lowest barrier of entry. But still, if you already own a PS4, you're looking at $550 for an add-on experience.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of people sick after 15 minutes to an hour. Even people who are, even reviewers who are not really prone to motion sickness, every single one of them have said, I don't want to do this for really more than an hour at a time.
Yeah.
Now, as a gamer, I love sitting down and putting my feet up and just playing a game for a couple hours. So it's a little concerning that I have seen nobody who's like, man, I just put the helmet on and I was just lost in the virtual reality space and I was just having a great time playing the games for hours on end. I've seen no one say. Most of them, at least half of them, have got physically ill. And the other half is like, yeah, after an hour I need to take a break. So yeah, while the technology appears to actually finally be here and good enough and actually be fun and cool, I think the barrier to entry, mostly price, but also set up a number of things that you have to set up around your place. PlayStation VR apparently is the easiest. There's a box, you plug the thing into a box, you plug the box into the thing, and you're pretty much good to go. Everything's labeled nice, but you still got a wire hanging off the thing. You've got a thing on your face. You do have to set things up. You have to kind of see where you are so you don't bash your shin against the coffee table. There are issues with, because the Move controllers are 6 years old, the fidelity is not as high, and your in-game hands stutter and shake a lot. Yeah, it's still cool. It can still be fun, but I don't think it's going to be a failure. I just don't think it's going to. This is what gaming is going to be from now on. I think it's going to be kind of maybe more successful than 3D TVs, but not much more.
I think it'll be more successful than 3D TVs, of course. It's going to be more successful than motion controllers on their own, because this is the evolution of the motion controller.
This is kind of a good reason to have a motion controller.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can move your hands in 3D space. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I honestly don't see it being that, being mass market consumer goods, because, like you said, there's first the price, and then there's the space issue, where who actually has the space to have this permanently set up? Because it's going to be one of those things. It's like, okay, we're having a party this weekend. Let's move the couch and everything out of the living room so that we can set this up and people can play on this weekend. They're not going to want to do that, have that set up like that all the time, because it's just not feasible. And I know very few people who have a room that's dedicated to gaming that actually has the space to set this up and leave it up all the time. Like I said, when I did the HTC Vive experience a few weeks ago,
Whoops.
they did it at a college campus, and they had two rooms set up, and these were classrooms that fit 30 students, and their setup took about half of the room in order to have everything set up the way it needed to be. And so half the room, well, I guess maybe it's a 20 student room or something like that, but still a good size classroom, and they took up about half of the room. And it's like, yeah, I don't have any place to set this up at home. So yeah, this is totally out of my reach. But yeah, so I don't see a lot of people being able to do this on a regular basis. And again, and like you said, there's the the time constraint where a lot of people aren't going to want to do this for too long of a period of time. I played with the Vibe for about half an hour, and I was pretty much done. I wanted to play a little bit longer, but like I couldn't wear my glasses with it. I tried wearing my glasses with it, but I couldn't do it. But I was able to see just fine without my glasses, but not everybody is able to do the same. There are a lot of people who can't even see a screen right in front of their face without their glasses on. And it just wasn't at all comfortable with my glasses on. So,
That's another thing that I've heard people bring up is another barrier to entry could be anyone who has back problems.
yeah, that's
Because
another one.
at least for the PSVR, from what I've been reading, you can do it sitting down, but you have to move and adjust and hit that sweet spot so much that
Yeah,
you're almost required to stand. And
I
if
would
you
say pretty
have,
much anybody with
yeah,
mobility issues would have problems here, and it can and I'm not just talking about people who are confined to a wheelchair or whatever.
mhm,
It's just people that have a bad back or a
right.
gimp knee or something. You know, these aren't people that are going to be able to do this. My wife, she's she's not she's not uh, I forget the word. I just said it now, but she has some leg and ankle problems every now and then. And she when she played the HTC Vive with me, she ended up almost twisting her ankle because her
Mm.
ankle was pretty. Her ankle is twists easy, and so she almost twisted her ankle there, and I think she hurt her hip a little bit trying to bend down and look at things. But yeah, there mobility issues are a big deal too. So
Yeah. So, looking at the chat, chat seems to be in agreement. Matthew says VR, nope, it's not going mainstream. It's too expensive. Um, let's see. 13U Cube says if it means more attachments, it becomes less desirable. And that's true. VR is not being sold as its own thing. It's being sold as an accessory.
hmm
And those oftentimes struggle in a marketplace. And I think one of the things that kind of highlights um, will it become mainstream is probably the simplest one is the that Samsung frame cardboard thing that you stick your phone in
yeah,
that has the divider in front of it. That's as cheap as you get for VR, and I've heard people say, you know what, it actually works pretty okay, and nobody seems to care. I mean, in the wide scale mass market sense.
yeah.
I don't hear anyone talking about it. I don't hear any enthusiasm about it. I'm willing to bet that if you talk to most non-gamers and probably a ton of gamers, they wouldn't even be aware of that. So,
Yeah, see, I've seen that around enough that I'm aware of it, but it's just
mhm.
never been anything that I was really all that interested in. Because honestly, VR gaming doesn't appeal to me. Even if I had the space for it or whatever, it just doesn't have that much of appeal. Um, and even the cardboard thing, I was just like, yeah, that'd be kind of interesting, but I don't think I would. I don't think I would do it.
In order to sell VR to mass market at above mass market friendly prices, I think what it would take, or at least you're probably not going to be able to do it without, is the killer app. It needs to have some type of application or game that people just go absolutely nuts over. Like, I mean, if someone came out with Rock Band now with all the damn plastic peripherals, a $200 thing that includes a drum set and plastic guitars and things, they'd say, "Are you nuts?" But back in '05 or '06 or whenever these games started coming out, uh, people were crazy for them because it wasn't, oh, I need a plastic guitar. It was, I need to play this game because it's so damn cool and I need to invest in all this plastic crap in order to do it. I don't think the hardware and sometimes even the price that can become almost negligible or even irrelevant if the experience is that captivating.
Yeah.
And while a lot of the stuff I've seen for VR is neat, really genuinely neat, I haven't yet seen anything that's like, oh my gosh, you have to play this. You have to bring over all the friends and we're gonna all play this. And it's gonna
Yeah.
be the greatest thing ever. Um,
Yeah, I don't think, yeah, we don't have anything near that. And I think with Rock Band, you talk about Rock Band and how, but
and I
I think
still like
that
Guitar
one,
Hero better.
yeah. Well, and I was getting at is that we had a progression of gaming technology that led to Rock Band,
Yeah.
and so it started out with DDR, a music game that used a peripheral that you danced on, and that was how you played the game. And then the other developers saw that and it's like, we could do that with musical instruments. What's the coolest one we could do?
A
Guitar.
guitar.
And so they made Guitar Hero.
Maybe a
And then with
sousaphone.
Guitar, yeah, yeah, John Philip Sousa Hero. But then they went from there and they said, what would be cool? You've got your guitar and you've got this backup band in the game that plays with you as you play your guitar. What if we brought the backup band into the living room with you?
Yeah.
And that was the progression. And so people got used to the idea of these peripherals and the game style. But with VR, it's just kind of it's the dance mat of this future technology, and but it's going to have a hard time reaching the same critical levels of audiences
Yeah.
that music gaming did. So,
And then, of course, they came out with the Tony Hawk game with the physical skateboard that you stood on.
and that totally bombed.
And that killed everything. And,
Yeah.
and henceforth, we saw no peripherals ever again. Thanks, Tony
Well,
Hawk.
THQ did try U Draw, and
That's true.
that bombed.
Now they're out of
horribly.
business.
Yeah.
They didn't learn.
No, they didn't.
They're like, hey, the Wii U gamepad. That's a good idea. That's going over swimmingly. Let's make our own one of those. And everyone looked at U Draw. It's like, why is this not just on the gamepad? Why do I need a second gamepad?
Well, no, U Draw came out before the Wii.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, because you plugged your Wii controller into it.
Oh, it was a Wii. Okay.
Yeah, it was a Wii game.
All right.
So,
I'm getting my timeline backwards.
yeah.
Okay, new topic. Let us talk about the Nintendo NX. Now, we can't really talk any specifics because we don't know anything still, Nintendo.
I do like the post you did. I think it was earlier this week. It said, "What if the Nintendo Classic was the NX?"
For those who didn't see it, I tweeted out a picture of the Nintendo NES Classic Edition, the little mini NES that has the 30 installed NES games. I tweeted out a picture of that and said, "Yeah, what if this is the NX?" So,
yeah.
And people are saying, well, that's a stupid idea. So, yeah, I noted that in the original tweet. But anyway, so what I wanted to ask and discuss is Nintendo said way back in March of 2015 that it would talk more about the NX next year, 2016. Um, Nintendo has said earlier this year it would not be talking about the NX at E3, but it would be talking about it this year sometime. We're in the middle of October now, so there's only 2.5 months left of the year. The NX is still slated to come out in March of next year. So, do you think that Nintendo should bother uh, doing an unveiling now or before Christmas, or do you think it would behoove them to wait until, say, January or even February?
Good question.
I can see some pros and cons both ways.
Yeah.
For example, doing it this year, what are the cons to that? Well, it's the pre-Christmas season, so there's a bunch of new cool stuff coming out. So it would have
Except for Wii U games.
well, except for Wii U. Wii U's done. Paper Mario came out, it's done. So it got that out of the way. It doesn't have to compete with its own stuff because the Wii U is pretty much dead. So that's good. And but if it comes out now, it has to fight it has to fight for attention with PlayStation VR, the PlayStation 4 Neo. I'm sorry, Pro, Mafia 3, the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider on the PlayStation, all the big games that are coming out this fall and Christmas, and it's still not coming out for 5.5 months. People might be I can't buy it this Christmas, so I don't care. I'm going to focus more on the stuff I can actually buy this Christmas, and then months and months and months roll by and people forget about it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if Nintendo is confident that whatever the hell the NX is like going to make its investors say, "Oh my God, this will make me rich," then Nintendo might consider doing a full announcement next week because damn the torpedoes, because their investor meeting is at the end of October.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily have to, but they would probably want to reveal the NX and then talk to their investors like, yeah, see that? Oh yeah. That's gonna make you buku bucks. Oh, you better believe it. So I can see it going both ways. But on the other hand, if you wait until like January, February, not only are you closer to when the NX actually comes out, you announce something and you can buy it soon. If you announce it now, it's like, oh, that's great. When can I have it? In half a year. Oh, well, see, I guess I'll get a PlayStation 4 then. But also announcing it in January, February, that's usually the very dull, slow months for video games. So Nintendo would unless Microsoft does something with the Scorpio, Nintendo would probably have all the news to itself. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, if it actually is coming out in March, and this has not been confirmed, but that's the estimated release date that everybody's going off of. If it actually does come out in March and they announce it in January, it's going to feel a lot like the Sega Saturn reveal, where Sega came out and said, we're releasing this new console and it's available now, and they completely screwed over all the developers and the retailers that they normally work with because none of them were prepared for such an early launch. Now, I'm not saying that Nintendo has the same hubris that Sega did at the time, where they thought that they could get away with it. To me, it would feel that way from a consumer perspective, that Nintendo hasn't said hide nor hair about this system, even though we've believed its existence for years now, but they haven't said anything about it. And then all of a sudden, here they are talking about it, and it's coming out in 2 months. to me that just seems weird
That's
and
true.
might backfire on them.
That's true. Now we don't know the status of game development yet.
Yeah.
We can really only assume. We are actually starting to hear from the major third parties, mostly Ubisoft, saying the NX is real and it's cool and we're making stuff. But
Well, and still, we've only got what, 2 confirmed titles: Zelda Beyond Breath of the Wild
mhm,
and Just
Just
Dance
Dance
2017.
2017. There's like two more, and I forget what they are, but they're things like Just Dance 2017. Um, if Nintendo announces the NX now or within the next month, it could get away with just revealing the hardware and what it is and the idea
Yeah,
behind it. If it waits until early next year, it not only has to unveil the hardware and what it is and what it does, it better have its game lineup ready to show off.
yeah,
So it
that's
has to
another
say,
thing.
here's the NX, here's what it is, it's coming out next month or month after. You will be able to play it, and here is all of the cool stuff you will be able to play.
Yeah, and that's true. They would have to jam all of that information in one event. Whereas if they reveal the hardware now, they can spend the next 4 months revealing games every week.
That's
And
true. Now,
and
go ahead.
Oh, and that would be a way of keeping the news going about the system. Here's the NX. We already know Zelda's coming out, so let's show Zelda running on the NX. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, and here's the new Mario title that's coming out on the NX.
Mhm.
And then here's some third-party games that are coming out on the NX, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so that would be a really good reveal because it keeps people talking, and it keeps people excited for those few months up to the system's release.
Yeah, I agree. That's something else you could do is do a hardware reveal within the next month, and then to keep interest in the sucker every 2 weeks, do a Nintendo Direct showing off some new tidbits, but focusing on it. And here's a launch title, and here's a launch title, and here's a launch window title, which means you'll play it next year. But
Yeah,
something to it's like, should I drop $400 on a PlayStation 4 Pro because this NX, Mario on NX? Oh man, I think I'm gonna want to save my 400 bones for the NX.
yeah.
Maybe that would work. Really, what it comes down to, I think, is the NX going to be all that and a bag of chips, or not?
If
Because what it is really going to depend on what strategy Nintendo uses.
yeah, it's going to depend a lot on what the hardware is and what their goal is on competing with the other systems out there. So we have no idea what the hardware is. We have no idea. The only thing we know is that it's going to play Zelda and it's going to play Just Dance,
Yeah.
and that's it. We don't know how those are going to play. We just know that they're going to play. Um, and so, but other than that, we know that it's going to compete in some fashion with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, but we don't know if it's going to be a console in those lines or if it's going to be something more like a beefed up Wii U or what. And that's and I think that would benefit more. Uh, those questions would be answered better if it was revealed now and we got more information over the next few months, because when you look back at console releases, usually these things are announced 2 years before they're launched.
Mm,
You look back at pretty much every E3, when a console is announced, it's 2 years before they actually get around to releasing that thing. So
mm.
that's two E3s that they get to talk about it.
Yeah, and usually at the
And
first E3, you see some meaningless tech demo,
yeah.
which is supposed to be represented. If you remember the Wii U, it was that bird on a branch of a cherry tree
Hmm.
flying around a pagoda with a koi mote. It didn't mean anything. It was just a visual demo.
Yeah.
And then the next year, they started off by showing Pikmin 3, and everyone went, "Oh, we're a generation behind again."
Yeah.
But 13U Cube actually asked an interesting question. Asks, can you remember what specifically that Nintendo revealed about the Wii U that made you say, "I want this"? 13U Cube, you say you remember the exact day. Kindly share, and I'll tell you my story, because I actually do remember the moment that what specifically was presented to me about the Wii U that said, "Oh, okay, I'm buying this now." When it first came out, and it came out before it was actually announced, that the Wii U controller had a touchscreen on it, my first thought was, okay, why? Why would I want a touchscreen on my controller? I'm usually kind of busy with my thumbs doing the buttons and sticks and stuff. I don't want to let go and go tappy tappy. So why would I want a screen in my controller? And at the time, you had a lot of people speculating, well, you could have a map. Like, I can have a map in the corner of the screen. Yeah, but it wouldn't clutter up the screen. Well, sure. I mean, I guess it's kind of cool looking down, having the map, but I'm taking my eyes off the screen, so I may as well just go into the pause menu and look at the map. You know, I mean, it's neat, it's fine, but it doesn't really sell me on why I need a touchscreen on the gamepad. What sold me on it, honestly, was Ubisoft's trailer for Zombie U. And the gamepad, the touch screen was a portal into your little survival pack. So you're running around the zombie apocalypse, and you need a first aid kit or more bullets or stuff in your backpack. So you pull down your backpack and you rummage through it, and the game represents that vulnerability by making you take your eyes off the screen and putz around in your inventory, like you're really taking your pack off and digging through it quickly to find something. And it also had other things like where you could manipulate digital keypads on doors to unlock them, and things like that. I went, oh, that's really cool.
And then nobody else did that ever again.
That was the only game that actually made any good use of, for the most part, really the only game that made any good use of it.
You don't think Mario Kart's horn in the middle of the screen, touch screen, was a good use of the touch of it? I just, that little horn in there, it's hilarious.
You know, some people really like off-TV play, but I live alone, so no one else is fighting for TV time. So it's like, I want to play it on my lovely large television. I want to play it on.
So, but 13U Cube says the Reggie presentation about Nintendo Land with Metroid Blast. I remember thinking, wow, it's like a third-person online shooter minigame, Nintendo theme online gaming. Yeah, that's, Nintendo Land is another great example of how to use that second screen
asynchronous gaming.
Asynchronous gaming, where you've got 4 people playing up there and 1 person on the tablet, and this was something that was done before on the GameCube with the Game Boy Advance sync cable.
And the link cable,
Yeah, where I believe one of the games that really took advantage of this was a Pac-Man game where you had one
Pac-Man Versus, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, something like that, where the person playing on the Game Boy was Pac-Man, and then you had 4 people being the ghosts up on the TV, and so it was an asynchronous experience. But with the Wii U, that became something that could be the default for multiplayer gaming. Not a lot of games went that route. Not a lot of games went that route, and it sucks. But there's a lot of potential in that setup, but a lot of it, I think, revolves around multiplayer gaming, and that doesn't appeal to a lot of to too many people out there. It appeals to me a lot. I like that.
Yeah.
But
I'm a single player gamer, so asynchronous gaming is neat. It's just not for me because I'm a single player gamer. I live
Yeah.
alone. I don't have anyone to play asynchronously with. Scotty also points out Zelda Four Swords, another great use of the Game Boy Advance link cable, where you'd go in a
Yeah.
dungeon and you'd have the overworld map, but four different people are playing, and if one goes into a dungeon, they just look at their screen and wander around the dungeon.
Yeah.
There was also Crystal
Crystal
Chronicles or
Chronicles.
Final
Yeah.
Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Um,
That one wasn't, from what I understand, that one wasn't so much asynchronous. It was just the Game Boy was used as a for mini games and battles or such.
yeah.
But most of the gameplay was up on the television for that.
You know
So,
what surprised me most is when the Wii U came out. I've probably told this story before, or this point of view before. When the Wii U first came out, it launched, I think, with Mario, Super Mario Brother U. I
mhm.
think that was one of the launch games, and people were like, "Okay, we kind of expected a Mario game at launch to show us why there's a touchscreen on the gamepad. Really, only Ubisoft is showing us why with Zombie U." And everyone's like, "Oh, wait, you wait until the real Mario comes out. That's the reason they built their controllers around Mario." So, and then 3D Land, I'm sorry, 3D World came out the following year, and no, didn't really.
Yeah.
Mario and cat pajamas. That was the thing, and that was an awesome thing, but it had nothing to do with the gamepad.
Yeah.
Really, the only thing the gamepad did was you could blow on the microphone to get the little twirly thing,
Yeah.
which
But with
sucked. I
the
hate
with
that. And you could tap a couple of the platforms to move them, but other than that,
Yeah, well, with
yeah.
new Super Mario Brothers U, I believe you could use the touchscreen to add platforms. So if you
Yes.
had some problems getting somewhere, you could add a platform and help you jump up.
Or you could put
Or
put a platform right in front of someone jumping across a pit and knock them in the
yeah, and
pit.
knock them in the thing. But
Yeah, that
you
was
get
good.
enough of that, just people getting in each other's way. But
So, yeah, hopefully whatever the NX is and whatever the super special maybe the whole super special secret thing of Nintendo's NX console is that it's just a solid good console. No gimmicks, no extraneous little features or accessories. It's just a really good,
yeah,
solid gaming console.
just make this, or well, I guess you would really go with the Wii U Pro controller, but make that the
Yeah.
default controller, yeah, and just throw everybody off. It's like, what? This is just a single box with normal controllers. What world did we land in here? Did we get sucked through a singularity
Yeah.
into an alternate universe where Nintendo just does what everybody else does?
No cameras staring at you. No waggly motion control. No having to set up sensors. Just plug in the game and play it and have fun. Maybe that's what the NX is. It just plays games and does it really well.
But
Uh,
I will say this though, as much fun as a normal controller is,
mhm.
there are little aspects of various controllers that I do love. Like definitely Rumble. Rumble should be standard in every controller, as far as I'm
Mhm.
concerned. And then I think having a gyroscope or gyros in there to pick up little movements, so like shaking the controller or tilting it or something to add little extra interactivity, I think would be good, as long as it's not overblown like with the Wii controllers were.
Yeah, you know what? Motion control works great as a flourish, as a punctuation mark.
Hmm.
Um, for example, No More Heroes, I thought used motion controls really well. It's a game where you swing a sword, a very lightsaber sword, to beat up baddies. And you might immediately think that in order to play the game, you do this to swing your sword. No, you do this. You push the button, he swings the sword. You push the button, he swings the sword. And then you get the enemy's health all the way down, and then it has a directional prompt, and you go, ugh! and you finish them off with a big flourishy move that fountains gore all over the place, and that feels real good. So you're slice, 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 slice,
Isn't
slice,
that
bam.
didn't they implement something in the game where you had to recharge your sword by shaking the controller?
Yes, you do this to recharge the. You shake the controller, and of course, the character in the game goes like this. So,
Yeah.
yes, I'm happy to pantomime that on the internet. No problem.
Yeah.
Uh,
But another
so
another fun use of just simple motion controls was New Super Mario Brothers, where you shake the controller to do your spin jump,
mhm.
and then there's also when you're in the bubble, you shake the controller to speed yourself to other players so you can get out of the bubble.
Yeah, I'm of two minds about that because I actually kind of like the idea of let me just use this as a demo. You're playing the 2D Super Mario Brothers and you jump across the pit and you just a little extra little bit you just I'm jumping and because if you've ever watched my mom or my sister, and I'm sure I do this too, you're like you do this with the
Yeah.
controller to kind of nudge them just that extra couple of pixels so they don't plunge to their death. That actually feels right. The only problem is when you scratch your nose or something and you end up doing that move on accident because it's like, okay, I'm through a platforming, so I'm making the jump, achoo, and then he spins and you screw it up. That's when it becomes a problem. So there is a tricky balance to it.
Yeah.
To
Definitely.
whether motion control is implemented correctly or not.
Yeah.
But I don't think motion control. So yeah, motion control certainly does not. If it can be done with a button, you should probably use a button.
Yeah.
And it's interesting watching some games figure that out. There was a game called The Blob, which is a great game, but
Yeah.
the how you jump in the game is flicking the remote up, which everybody hated. If you read reviews of the games, people love the game, but they're like, why can't I use this big button here to jump? And in the sequel, they actually did that for the jump. In
Yeah. Jumping was always a pain in that game because I have it and I like playing it and it's a fun game, but yeah, jumping is just terrible because I can never properly control my jumps. It's like,
mhm.
okay, I need to jump that way, and so I flick the controller and I end up jumping over here,
Yeah.
and it's like, come on.
In Donkey Kong Country Returns, how you would get Kong to do a roll would be you would shake the remote. And
Yeah.
sometimes that shake just wouldn't work, so Donkey would just run. You do that roll off the edge and jump thing to get the extra distance, and you just roll and you just run off the edge because you're like, damn it, I swung the thing. Um, but in the sequel, that was put on a button where it should be. But what you can do in the game is Donkey Kong has a ground pound where he just
Yeah.
beats the ground with his fist, and you do this with the remote and nunchuck, and that feels good because it's not something you do very often. You do it maybe once every couple stages. There's a thing that you ground pound and you just beat on it and it feels right it because that's exactly what he's doing. It's good, and it's
Yeah.
not something that you're going to accidentally trigger while doing platforming.
Yeah.
So I think motion control, when used properly, usually as
Yeah.
a flourish or punctuation,
The
does work very well.
Yeah. And the one game that I wanted to see with the Wii, and this is going back all the way back to the Wii, and that I never actually saw, was a wizard game where you use the controller to actually draw runes on the screen to cast your spells. And it's like I would have loved to have played a game like that, but I don't recall there ever being one that did that specific thing. Um, you've got Wonderful 101 where you draw the formations on the touch screen, but that's not exactly that's
No.
a similar thing to what I was thinking, but actually with the Wii remote and drawing on the screen. But
there are a couple things. There was a snowboarding game, SSX Blur, where you had to perform Uber tricks or whatever they were called. You had to draw certain shapes in the air, and sometimes it was a heart. Sometimes you had to do a um, treble clef. Sometimes it was a Z. Sometimes it was two backwards Z's. Um, that actually worked and felt good, I thought. There was also Okami, where you actually drew on the screen. Man,
Yeah.
they should have moved that HD port of Okami to the Wii U. How great would it have been to just do all of the scroll drawing stuff
Yeah,
on the
on the
tablet?
touch button. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would have been great.
slashy bomb
Yeah.
instead of bomb. No, not circle. Bomb. No, not the circle. Bomb. That's a slash. How'd you even get bomb? Damn it. Amaterasu. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Yeah.
maybe sometime in the next, if as a 13UQ put it, if the NX isn't delayed past March, maybe sometime in the next few months we'll find out what the hell the thing is and can actually talk about what it is instead of speculating on Nintendo's announcement of what it is. I mean, we've even moved. We're so tired of discussing what it might be at this point. They're like, "What do you think Nintendo's going to announce it?" It's like, oh my gosh, look at what you're doing to us, Nintendo.
Yeah, yeah.
13UQ says how people ever got good at Wii bowling in Wii Sports before the Motion Plus still confuses the crap out of me. If you've never tried bowling overhand in Wii Sports, don't try to do that in real life. It's a lot of fun and it actually works. I golf overhand too because I'm lazy and I sit on the couch. So this is how I golf. This is how I bowl. I'm not gonna get up so I can do the underhand thing. Works just fine. So,
to be honest, one of my favorite Wii games to date is actually Wii Fit, because there was a lot of clever uses of the controller and the balance board in that, and my wife and I we had a lot of fun playing
that luge thing was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, the luge was pretty good. Yeah, I still.
I would love to compare that to the Street Luge in the PSVR to bring this to see which one actually works better.
Yeah. Yeah. Another game that tried to use the balance board and was Super Monkey Ball on this one of them. They tried to implement the balance board as one of the controllers, and it doesn't work at all. It's terrible.
I think it works. It's just impossible to do.
Yeah,
I don't think humans have that fine of shifty.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to redo the game to get it to work like that.
Probably. It's like I tried doing it, and I'm a pretty big guy, and I just could not control my stupid monkey at all. And then I put one of my younger kids on there, who are pretty small and could sit on the balance board with comfortably, but no, they couldn't do it either because I think the problem with them was they just had no idea what they were supposed to do in order to control the thing. But yeah. Hello, Duncan McClellan. Good to see you.
Who apparently has watched my most popular YouTube video. My most popular video by far. This video in question has over 1 million views, which is like 750,000 more than any other video. So, 13UQ, are you ever going to try Xenoblade Chronicles X? Yes.
Yeah, I still want to play the first one. I still have not played it.
I very much recommend it. It's very good.
Yeah.
As I always say, I like the last story better, but they're both great, and I do recommend them both. I actually had this in a video a while back, 5 NX game predictions or whatever it was called, but I predicted a Xenoblade Chronicles X remaster for the NX, because as cool as Xenoblade X is, Monolith Soft really worked some magic with that game, but it's struggling against the Wii U hardware. So I would actually be very happy to see a remaster done for the NX, assuming, of course, that the NX is more powerful.
Yeah.
Taking care of things like better shadow maps, much better load management.
Hmm.
If you don't know what that means, it's level of detail management. So if you have a building way in the far distance, the texture on it is a lot simpler than when it's up close.
Yeah.
Uh, in the game, the different levels of detail textures pop in really close, especially when you're running around the city of New Los Angeles or whatever it's called. There's still a lot of pop in the game out in the field. Still a gorgeous game. Don't get me wrong; it does a lot of really good stuff. But
Yeah.
for the scope and ambition of what the game is trying to accomplish, it is butting its head right up against the Wii U hardware. So I would really like to see it remastered on stronger hardware so that it can breathe a little bit more. And of course, full 1080p, 60 frames per second, all that good stuff. But yeah, maybe now this may just be uh, a artistic choice for gameplay reasons, but none of the cars and really any objects wandering around the world had any uh, um, hit detection. There were no. You clipped through all of the
Yeah.
vehicles, and that may have been on purpose, just so you didn't have to worry so much about working your way around cars and mechs and stuff.
Yeah.
But it is kind of weird to constantly just phase straight through things. Maybe something where collision detection. That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
think of. Maybe something where you just kind of get bumped to the side, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, and put Lin Lee's original outfits back in there. You twerps at the free house, and the boob slider. The boob slider needs to come back. Says I.
Yeah.
Oh, and not only does the boob slider need to come back before you re-implement the boob slider, um, do a Google image search and figure out what boobs look like, because boobs, the bigger breasts get, they don't just kind of go straight out from the body and hover there like like a watermelon glued to a torso. That's
Yeah.
if you look at the Japanese version of the game and move the slider to the larger bust side, uh, on the smaller from A cup to B or C, it starts looking okay. But when it gets into C and D range, it's just like, have you never seen breasts before? Seriously.
Yeah.
There should be the option for large breasts, don't get me wrong, but they should actually look correct. There are lots of wonderful resources available to you on the internet so you can know what big breasts look like. Use them. Anyway,
Well, some of those resources might be a little deceptive because they're not natural. So
they don't even look like big fake breasts. No human fake or no big busted woman with fake or natural breasts looks like that. Unless part of her shirt is just like a shelf under her shirt that her breasts sit on top of for some reason. Anyway,
fun stuff.
So okay, I actually thought we were going to stop at 8 o'clock, and then we just kept going. Like,
yeah, we just kept going.
So, okay, we're going to call it that's good for the night, and I do apologize that I locked the camera on me for a good 20-minute stretch of the show. I was like, why
did we?
I was like, Zachary's talking. Why is the camera on me while I'm picking my nose? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's locked on me. So anyway, all right, let's plug our stuff and get out of here. So Andrew Eisen, Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube. You'll find all my YouTube videos. At Andrew Eisen is the Twitter page, account, handle, whatever it's called. Facebook is Andrew Eisen YouTube. And if you go to extralife.org, and there's a hyphen, extra-life.org, and type my name in there, you'll find my fundraiser page. And I'm raising money for the Rady Children's Hospital in preparation of the Extra Life 24-hour marathon charity event. So if you'd like to make a pledge, would like to make a donation, you can do it right there. Just click the big blue donate button. Donations are tax deductible, and every penny goes to helping hospitalized kids. So, the marathon itself is Saturday, November 4th, starts at noon, goes to noon the next day. And every Saturday until then, at 2 p.m. PST, I'm streaming a game for an hour or two. Today, I streamed Beyond Good and Evil for about an hour and a half in celebration, I guess, of Beyond Good and Evil 2 being in pre-production for its 8th year. So maybe we'll see that in another 3 years, maybe. I don't know. But next week, I think I'll be playing Muramasa, the Demon Blade, a game that's like the prettiest game ever, but I didn't enjoy playing. Maybe I was in a bad mood, so I thought I'd try it again. So extralife.org, pledge if you'd like, and you can watch me on both YouTube and Twitch. So, Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night. You can follow my game development work at DK_gaming on Twitter, and that's DivineKnightGaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, you can check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and OKGameDev.com. And as a reminder, I am running for Congress, even though I haven't been able to get out there and shake hands with people and kiss babies, but I'm trying to. But yeah, if you live in Oklahoma, especially in the Oklahoma City area and a couple of counties down southeast of Oklahoma City, check me out. Just Google or search me on Facebook, Zachary Knight for District 5 in Oklahoma. So there you go.
All right. You've been listening to Molehill Mountain. I don't know why, but I appreciate it, and I'm sure Zachary does as well.
Yes.
All right, everyone. You have a great night, and we'll see you back here next week. Take care.
All right. Bye.